Howdy folks, hope you're all enjoying your weekend, and welcome to Battlestar Galactica Deadlock with the mighty Jingles. I do like me a bit of Battlestar Galactica. But which Battlestar Galactica Jingles? Well, they've actually managed to cram a bit of both in 1980s Battlestar Galactica and the more modern reimagining of Battlestar Galactica into this game. It's set during the First Cylon War, so the events leading up to the beginning of the original Battlestar Galactica movie. Of course, they would never have made this game if it wasn't for the success of the reimagined Battlestar Galactica TV series, so they've managed to shoehorn some of the more modern and up-to-date Battlestar and Viper designs in there as well, for reasons that make absolutely no sense chronologically, but do kind of make sense in the game, as you'll see as we go along. The space battles, by the way, are spectacular. This game is... how can I put this? I suppose I could best describe it as a sort of Battlestar Galactica themed turn-based version of Homeworld. The battles really are amazing, as you can see. Once a battle is complete, you get to watch a real-time cinematic replay of the events that transpired during the course of the battle that you just played. And holy shit, this is impressive. I should probably be getting on with the actual gameplay, but I just want to stick around long enough to see one of these Battlestars get destroyed. This is a post-battle cinematic of a skirmish battle that I fought. This is Colonials versus Colonials. Obviously you can play both against and as the Cylons as well, which is what happens during the campaign missions. But I'm just waiting for one of these Battlestars to break formation and fall victim to a sustained heavy artillery and missile barrage. You can see that none of these missiles are getting through the flag screen. Man, that is impressive. Come on, somebody get blown up. Oh, there's an Artemis class Battlestar. That's one of the old ones from the 1980s TV show and movie. Yep, there we go. Mission achieved. We got to watch something blow up in a spectacular fashion. Alright, so this is the payoff. You get to watch these kind of scenes once you've actually completed one of the turn-based missions. What are the actual turn-based missions like? Good question. Glad you asked. Let's find out.
PyCon's Battlestar is almost ready to deliver, but Sinan says it can't make an independent jump until the fuel lines have stabilized. Kane's orders are to jump Daedalus to PyCon with the Battlestar Athena attached ASAP. That means we have to clear the scouts here or risk telegraphing our movements to the entire Cylon fleet. I'll prep the deck crews for the jump while you deal with the toasters. Good hunting, Commander.
The game begins right at the beginning of the First Cylon War. The PyCon colony's Jupiter-class Battlestar, the Athena, has finished construction but is not yet ready to conduct its first jump unassisted, so it's still attached to the Daedalus shipyards in Scorpia.
It's time to make our presence known in this war, Commander. I trust you won't need my instruction twice. Tell your ships to move full speed towards the enemy.
Naturally, the first thing that you're going to do is learn how to control a camera and get some form of basic control over a starship. So I have control of the Manticore class corvette and I want to tell it where to move. So the arc indicates the available movement options based on the ship's current heading. And once I've confirmed which basic direction I want the ship to move in, I then get the option of adjusting its elevation and also fine-tuning its facing. There's an unidentified Daedalus contact up ahead of me, and that's what we're going to be investigating with these scout corvettes. That should do.
Proceed when you're confident with your commands.
For the moment, I only have command of one corvette, so that's going to have to do.
Our ships use fire control systems to automatically target and fire on any hostiles that move within range. Turrets will be less accurate the smaller or further away their target is.
Now that we've actually gotten close enough to that Daedalus contact to ID it as a Cylon, we're going to want to shoot him. Now you can see the firing arcs of the turrets on the Manticore class corvette. It can only really fire to targets in either the frontal or rear arcs. It has no side-facing weapons. So it's important to ensure that the target that you're trying to shoot is actually within the firing arcs of the weapons on the ships that you have selected. We've just been given command of this second Manticore, so we're going to use it to double up our firepower on this Cylon Nemesis class corvette. It's very similar to the Manticore, but it also has some fairly strong electronic warfare capabilities. These ships do also have guided missiles, but at the moment we can't use them, so for now it's turrets only, and we're going to focus the fire of both of our Manticores on this single Cylon Nemesis class corvette. End the turn, put our actions into effect, turrets start opening up, and you can see that the armour on the engaged side of the Cylon corvette is starting to be stripped away.
Sir, we've got a new Dratus contact. Dratus IFF confirms the contact is a Cylon corvette. Scanning for further intelligence.
Right, now we've got two Cylon scout corvettes to deal with.
These Cylon corvettes won't hold up to sustained fire. Focus your turrets on one side to punch through their armor and destroy the hull. These ships also have long-range guided munitions, useful for softening a target before closing in for the kill.
Right, now we get to use our missiles. We're still going to focus our fire on the first corvette because most of the armour on its port side, its engaged side, has been stripped away, and if we continue to hammer it in that location, we'll start doing actual damage to the hull. So I've queued a missile launch from the first Manticore, and I'm going to do pretty much the same thing with the Perseus, the second Manticore. Turn it to ensure that the forward gun batteries still have a target solution, while queuing up another missile launch. And with that set up, it's time to hit the end turn button and see what happens. And it turns out that these Nemesis class corvettes have missile launchers of their own, and since I don't have any flak batteries on a corvette to shoot them down, or Viper squadrons to intercept them, that's going to be a bit of a problem.
Commander, your ships don't seem to be performing as well as they should. They may have system damage that's been overlooked.
Now it's time to do a bit of damage repair. One of the corvettes has suffered damage to one of its subsystems.
Tell the engineering crews aboard those ships to hotfix what they can. I'll see to their comprehensive repair once you've finished with your engagement.
Okay, the tech bay of this corvette has suffered damage. That's going to reduce its Dratus range, which is kind of a big deal since a corvette is a scout ship. And it's also going to reduce the regeneration rate of its network firewall. And that's also going to be a bit of a problem because these Cylon Nemesis class corvettes have extensive electronic warfare systems. They can basically hack your systems and shut them down, or severely degrade their performance, so we're going to want to get that tech bay repaired while continuing the attack. Repairing subsystems in battle is obviously an important tactical choice, because here's the thing, while you're repairing a subsystem, you can't use it. Now that's not such a huge issue when you're repairing a tech bay, but if you're repairing a damaged fire control system, you can't target turrets or missiles while you're doing it, so you have to weigh up the benefits and disadvantages of actually interrupting combat in order to conduct a repair. Looks like we've just been given command of the Daedalus shipyards. Okay, this is good. They have their own turrets, so that's nice. I can use the turrets, providing any of those enemy corvettes get close enough, I can use the turrets to defend the shipyard. More importantly, the shipyard also has the capacity to launch 2 squadrons of Vipers. Now a squadron of Vipers doesn't do a huge amount of damage to a capital ship, but they're very fast and they're useful for distracting and harassing a target. They're also very useful if you assign them to defend a target, because they will circle whatever it is you've assigned them to defend and do useful things like, for example, shoot down incoming missiles. Now, that enemy Nemesis is just about ready to blow up. Unfortunately, this Manticore has basically got no armour left on its left side. It took a whole bunch of missile hits there, so it's important to try to keep the facing of the ship that has the most remaining armour pointing towards any incoming threat if at all possible. Luckily, this is a Manticore class corvette. Remember, the guns in these ships are all located either facing to the front or facing to the rear, not to the sides. So I am still able, because this is a Manticore, to keep the front pointing towards an enemy where there is still some armour, and at the same time keep the weapons firing. Now, that first Cylon Nemesis did manage to successfully manoeuvre the ship to get a fresh armour facing between himself and the guns of our 2 corvettes. However, in doing so, he exposed the rear of his ship, which had no armour remaining, towards the turrets of the Daedalus shipyard, so the shipyard actually managed to claim that kill. The second Nemesis has launched its missiles at the shipyard. Now, that's not good, because if you ever lose the shipyard, it's an automatic mission fail. But one Nemesis-class corvette can't fire off enough missiles to take the shipyard down, not with 2 Viper squadrons and 2 corvettes on it, so this is actually not too bad. And now that he's outnumbered by more than 2 to 1, that second Cylon corvette really doesn't stand a chance. So, first mission complete, and now you get to watch a replay of that mission in all of its cinematic
All
glory.
hostile contacts are down. We recorded a vid feed of the battle if the commander would like to replay the fleet's performance.
Yeah, actually, I think I will. You know, I've seen other games where they've tried to do stuff like this. Take a turn-based tactical game and deliver you a battle replay with cinematic camera angles and really try to bring the battle to life. Wargaming's Master of Orion is a good example. It's a great game, and they've certainly tried to do something like this in the post-battle results, but it's not very good. This, on the other hand, this is. Look at this. I mean, this is a very minor engagement. It's the first mission that you play in the game. It's just 2 corvettes versus 2 corvettes, with some starfighter backup. In the grand scheme of things, this is not a major fleet engagement, but they managed to make it look damn good. Should be launching the Vipers any time now. See, one of the corvettes took some damage there. Come on, where are those Vipers? Here they come. Alright, now you're in trouble. Missile attack. Again, on the station. See, that was where they made their mistake. If they'd concentrated all of their fire on the corvettes, they might have actually won this engagement. But they didn't. Vipers closing into attack range. That Nemesis has a whole bunch of missiles closing in on it as well. Here come the Vipers. Yeah, that's going to leave a mark. I think that's the point where the first Nemesis died. Vipers repositioning to go after the second one. Corvettes repositioning. Vipers closing in for a strafing run. Corvettes in hot pursuit. Missile salvos away. Oh yeah, this guy's screwed. He's still trying to launch his missiles at the station, but he's taken multiple hits. Yep, he went critical. That's it. Recall the alert Vipers. Mission complete. Next, delivering the Battlestar Athena
Group is jumping in
to the
3,
Pycon colony.
2, 1. Jump complete. Dratus contacts bearing 017, Karam 021.
Pycon and the rest of the 12 colonies are watching our every move, Commander. Some would see Colonial fleet fail. Ensure we succeed.
No pressure, sir. No pressure at all.
Okay, we have 3 unidentified Dratus contacts. This time around, however, we have 3 corvettes, not 2. We have the Daedalus shipyard, which can defend itself to a limited extent, and also has 2 Viper squadrons. More importantly, the whole reason we're here in Pycon space in the first place is to deliver the Jupiter-class Battlestar, the latest and greatest, the Athena. And because it's a Battlestar,
Yes, sir.
it also comes with a lot of fighter squadrons of its own, both Vipers and Raptors. Anyway, first things first. It's important that we identify these Dratus contacts so we can classify the threat and decide what it is that needs to be eliminated first. So that means getting the corvettes out there. They've got the best Dratus range. They're the eyes and ears of your fleet. However, they are just corvettes and I've no idea what we're going to run into out here. So I'm assigning Viper squadrons from the shipyard and from the Athena to individual corvettes to fly as escorts in order to shoot down any missiles or any enemy fighters that get targeted against the corvettes. I'm not too worried about assigning escorts to the Athena. The Battlestar has very, very impressive anti-missile and anti-fighter self-defense capabilities.
Hostile unit identified. Commander, receiving word from Athena's CAG. Their alert Vipers are online and ready to return hostilities.
Yeah, thanks for that. I have already launched the alert Vipers. That was one of the first things that I did. I could launch the Raptors as well, but I was planning on keeping them in reserve.
Yes, Commander.
What the hell, we'll launch them anyway. Right, we've managed to identify one of the Dreadis contacts. Big surprise, it's a Nemesis-class corvette. Okay, just one Nemesis on the flank? That's not such a problem. Still 2 Dreadis contacts, and we have no idea what they are. I figure I'm just going to mass all of my firepower against that one corvette, just take it out of the fight as quickly as possible, so that I can turn everybody, hopefully, towards each individual Dreadis contact in return. Just take them out with massed superior firepower. At the same time, this Battlestar is not very quick or agile. So, I'm turning it to get its side flak turrets facing towards those unidentified Dreadis contacts. Because it's not going to be able to keep up with R2, or rather R3 corvettes as they go hunting that enemy Nemesis. And my basic plan here, because that Nemesis is still effectively out of gun range of everybody here, is to basically just barrage him with missiles. Not just from the Manticores, but the Athena also has missile launchers of her own, so that's 4 sets of missiles targeted on one corvette. Might not be enough to finish him off, but he won't survive the follow-up gun barrage from the corvettes that are closing in. Alright, let's see what happens. There go the missiles. And missiles incoming from the as yet unidentified Dreadis contacts.
Use squadrons to hit priority targets or defend any of our own capitals. You can recall a squadron back to its carrier if the situation begins to deteriorate.
Okay, this is actually a bit of a problem. I still haven't identified those other 2 Dreadis contacts. This is why I've vectored the Vipers over there to identify them. However, there are missiles incoming from the unidentified Dreadis contacts, and they appear to be targeting the Athena. Now normally that wouldn't be an issue, I'd just turn on her flak turrets, but those Viper squadrons are actually in the kill zone of the Athena's port side flak batteries. Shit. Okay, that's not a huge issue. I could just divert the Vipers to defend the Athena, and they would shoot down the incoming missiles. But I now have an added complication.
Yes, sir.
Whatever those 2 unidentified Dreadis contacts are, one of them has launched fighters of its own, so I now have incoming Cylon Raiders and War Drivers. And the War Drivers I cannot afford to let get anywhere near the Athena because they will land boarding parties, which will fight their way through the ship, shutting down systems, and if they make it to the bridge and kill everybody there, I've lost the Battlestar. So I need the Vipers to intercept the enemy fighters. Shit. Well, we're just going to have to hope the Vipers are enough, because I can't use the Athena's flak guns. We still haven't finished off this first Nemesis, although it's probably not got long left. Okay. I think it's time to divert at least one of the Manticores. Not this one, of course. We're going to use the Perseus to help finish off the Nemesis. Because having one less ship shooting back at us is always a good thing. We need to kill that thing before its missiles cool down and it launches another salvo. Well, let's see what happens. Oh well, spot of good news, sort of. The War Drivers are not going for the Athena. They're actually hacking the systems of one of the corvettes. But we have taken the first Nemesis down. And it looks like the missiles were not in fact going for the Athena. They were going for the corvettes. In other news, we've identified one of the other Dreadis contacts. That thing over there is a Talon. It's basically a light carrier. That's what launched the War Driver and Raider squadrons. So I'm going to hit that thing with the Vipers and the Raptors. Now the good news is these light Cylon carriers, the Talons, they don't have missile launchers. So providing my other Vipers can deal with the War Driver and Raider squadrons, I don't have to worry about missile attack. Although I do have to worry about a missile attack from that third unidentified Dreadis contact, because that has definitely been launching missiles. Alright, here we go. There's that missile salvo from the unidentified contact that's taken one of the corvettes straight in the rear quarter. That Talon, however, is in serious trouble, and we have identified the third contact. Big surprise, it's another Nemesis. And because we haven't assigned a priority target to the Athena, it's actually engaging both the Talon and the Nemesis with its long-range artillery. Our surviving Nemesis is hacking the systems of the Athena, which is reducing its combat effectiveness. It's not going to be enough to save the Talon. He's managed to get some missiles away. They've all impacted on the Athena's portside armour, which is still holding. Our 3 Manticores are closing in on the surviving Nemesis and already have missile salvos on the way. Nemesis taking multiple missile impacts.
Missiles incoming.
Got its own missiles away though. Still continuing to hack one of the Manticores.
Taking damage.
It's not going to be enough to save him, not now that we've dealt with the enemy light carrier and all of its fighter squadrons. And that just leaves the one enemy Nemesis. And we have everything closing in on his position. And he's down too. So, let's see how that looked. There's the Talon, launching its raider squadrons. Obviously at this point it was undetected. Here come the raiders. At this point I've already scrambled the alert Vipers. Missiles away against the first Nemesis, returning fire with missiles of its own. Vipers closing in to intercept. Manticore took some heavy hits there, but the Nemesis has taken even heavier hits. Vipers closing in to intercept the War Drivers and the Raiders. Strafing the Talon. More missile hits on a Manticore. Took them all on the rear quarter. This Nemesis is probably doomed. That's a lot of fighters and missiles closing in on him. More missile impacts on the Talon, although at this point it's expended all of its fighters. Another strafing run from the Vipers. Missile hits on the Athena. Looks like the Nemesis has switched its hacking target from the Athena to the Manticore that's closing in. It's taken a solid barrage of fire there from missiles and gun turrets. Yep, it looks like everybody's blowing up at once here. That should just leave the one Nemesis. Raptor's closing in for a rocket attack. He's continuing to try to hack the systems of the Manticore that's closest to him, but the Athena is launching a missile salvo. Hell, everybody's launching missile salvos. And that's pretty much going to seal the fate of the final Nemesis. Recall the alert Vipers. And that, kids, is just the first 2 introductory missions of Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. The tutorial actually comprises the first 4 campaign missions, where they teach you everything that you're going to need to know to wage a successful campaign against the fracking toasters in the first Cylon War. Not just fleet command and control, but also research and development of new ship types, cruisers, destroyers, frigates, and various different classes of battlestars, as well as new and upgraded classes of fighters, munitions, crew recruitment and training, intelligence gathering operations, everything that's going to be required to wage a campaign across the 12 colonies of Kobol in an effort to push the Cylons out of colonial space once and for all, or at the very least, force them to the negotiating table. Unfortunately, I've seen the TV show, so I know exactly how badly that's all going to work out. But that doesn't mean you can't have fun trying, and I do have to say, I am very taken by the visuals. Like I said, I've played other turn-based strategy games that attempted to do something as spectacular as this with the post-battle animations. None of them have been as good as this. It really is just like watching a scene from the TV show. Of course, how much any of this matters to you is going to depend entirely on just how much you also enjoyed watching the space battles in the TV show. But they were hugely influential. It's funny how many people suddenly started doing shaky cam space battles after the success of Battlestar Galactica. Of course, it's not all about the glitzy post-battle animatics. You have to actually win those battles first, and the process of winning those battles has to be entertaining and interesting. And I do believe that Battlestar Galactica Deadlock has nailed it on both of those counts. A number of you have recommended this game to me, and I really have no idea why I've left it this long to give it a go, because I have hugely enjoyed playing it. And I am going to be plugging through the campaign and seeing if I can bring it to a successful conclusion. The game is not entirely without its bugs, one of which I may show you, quite amusing, in a future video. But for now, this is Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope you enjoyed the game, I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time. So say we all.